Some victories do not need swords. Some battles are won without a single strike. Some heroes leave a mark on history, not with blood, but with mind, heart, and courage. This is the story of a samurai who discovered that strength is measured not by force, but by understanding. His name was Haruto. Haruto was born into a respected samurai family in a quiet village at the foot of misty mountains. From a young age, he was trained in the arts of combat, in honor, and in discipline. He practiced with wooden swords at dawn, listened to the wisdom of elders, and studied not only war, but also history, philosophy, and human nature. But unlike many of his peers, Haruto was not consumed by violence. He admired skill, yes, but he admired wisdom even more. He understood that true power lay not only in strength of arms, but in strength of judgment. When he reached adulthood, the land was in turmoil. Local lords quarreled over territory. Merchants feared raids, and villagers prayed for safety. Many young samurai rushed to join armies, their swords ready to claim honor or to settle grudges. Haruto was different. He traveled lightly, carrying only essentials, a katana, of course, but also scrolls of strategy, books of poetry, and a keen mind for observing the world. His travels brought him to a small border town, where two rival clans had been in conflict for generations. Each side had built fortresses, trained soldiers, and prepared for battle that no one could stop. Merchants feared the roads. Farmers abandoned fields. The air was tense with anticipation of bloodshed. The leaders of the clans were fierce and proud men. They valued honor above all else, and believed any challenge could only be met with force. It was said that no samurai had yet resolved their disputes. Without a battle, Haruto arrived at the town quietly, observing everything. He noticed the roads, the trade routes, and the villages affected by the feuds. He listened to the villagers' stories and saw the fear in their eyes. And in that fear, he saw a truth. The greatest battle was not between the clans, but inside the hearts of the people themselves. The first test came swiftly. One morning, Haruto was summoned by the leader of the northern clan, a hulking man with a sharp gaze. He asked Haruto, "What brings a lone samurai to our land? Do you seek battle or wisdom?" Haruto bowed respectfully, his calm eyes meeting the leader's. "I seek to understand and to help, if I may," he said simply. The leader frowned, suspicion written on every line of his face. "You are young. You speak of help. What can a single man do against armies and pride?" Haruto replied, "Sometimes the sharpest sword is not steel, but patience and thought." The leader laughed, a deep, echoing sound, but Haruto's words lingered. Later, the southern clan summoned him, a woman of grace and authority, who carried herself with the confidence of someone who had fought and survived much. She asked Haruto, "Why do you speak of peace when war is all around you?" Haruto answered, "Because those who rush to battle often do not see the cost, and the cost is paid by the innocent." Days turned into weeks. Haruto spent his time walking between the two clans, talking to soldiers, merchants, and villagers alike. He asked questions. He listened. He observed the patterns of fear, pride, and anger that had built walls higher than any fortress. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, he called for a meeting between the leaders. They arrived with their guards, each suspicious of the other, and each ready to strike if provoked. Haruto greeted them both with calm respect, bowing deeply. "Leaders of the North and South," he began, "your clans have fought for decades. Your armies are strong. Your pride is strong. But consider this. How many farmers have lost their homes? How many children have cried at night? How many merchants have closed their shops for fear of your swords?" The northern leader grunted. The southern leader's eyes narrowed. Haruto continued, "True honor does not come from victory on the battlefield. True honor comes from protecting what you hold dear, without spilling unnecessary blood. There's a way to resolve this, if you have the wisdom to see it." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Then he proposed a challenge. "Let your best soldiers and your best strategists come together in a game of strategy, a contest of minds rather than blades. If one side wins, the other shall yield without fighting. If both sides fail to honor the outcome, you will bring shame upon your own houses. The leaders looked at each other. For a long moment, silence hung in the air. Then the southern leader spoke. And if this is a trick? Haruto shook his head gently. Trust is required for peace, and trust begins with courage. So the clans agreed. Over the following days, Haruto organized a series of contests, not of strength, but of wit. He set challenges of logic, planning, and negotiation. He watched carefully, offering subtle guidance, allowing both sides to see the strengths and weaknesses of themselves and each other. At first, the leaders resisted. Pride clashed with humility. Anger threatened to spill into words, and words into action. But slowly, the truth emerged. They had more in common than they had realized. Their anger was inherited, their pride mirrored, and their fear misunderstood. Haruto observed everything silently, like a mountain watching the seasons change. Finally, the day of the final challenge arrived. The leaders, their best men, and the villagers gathered in the central square. Haruto stood between the two sides. This final challenge is simple, he said. You must agree on a plan that benefits both clans equally. Your solution must protect your people, secure trade routes, and avoid bloodshed. You may speak, debate, and negotiate, but you may not use weapons. The first to accept wisdom over pride will win. For hours, the leaders argued. Voices rose and fell. Hands gestured. Tempers flared. But slowly, as Haruto had anticipated, they began to listen. They considered the consequences of war. They considered the villagers who depended on their leadership. They considered the merchants and travelers whose lives were intertwined with both clans. And in a moment of clarity, the northern leader bowed his head. I see now, he said. We have been blind, chasing honor as though it were gold. But it costs our people too much. The southern leader nodded. We can find a better way. Together. Haruto smiled faintly. And just like that, the war was avoided. Not a single sword was drawn. Not a single drop of blood spilled. The villagers cheered quietly, their fear replaced by cautious hope. The clans shook hands, and in that handshake, generations of animosity were dissolved. Haruto did not stay long after that. He continued his travels, quietly observing, learning, and helping wherever wisdom was needed. He became known as the samurai, who could achieve victory without raising a sword, and who reminded the world that true strength is in understanding, not in violence. Years later, when Haruto was old, he would sit by a river in a small village, watching children play, and tell the story of peace he had achieved. And when asked, "Why did you not fight?" he would answer simply, "The strongest warrior is the one who knows how to win without hurting another. The mind and the heart are the sharpest swords a man can wield." And in that, the lesson endures. Power is not measured by the battles we win, but by the lives we protect, the peace we create, and the wisdom we leave behind. Victory without fighting is not magic. It is courage. It is strategy. It is heart. And that is the true story of Haruto, the samurai who won without fighting.